Delay of game.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Timm Metivier.
And we are here starting a new series. What's the name of this series?
This is Delay of Game.
All right, so what we decided to do, this is a series that Tim and I have been wanting to work together anyway. Tim, if you've not seen him, runs Meepleville, a board game store/cafe in Vegas, and also has an amazing YouTube channel where he interviews people and does all kinds of different things there. Yep. And Tim also runs Dice Tower West. Recently, Tim came into the gigantic board game library, which is the Dice Tower West library.
That's right.
And I found that Tim has not played every single game in this library. Shameful. Shameful.
Yes. It is.
Not really here, but this is a cool opportunity because now Tim can play all these older games, and I've likely played many of them, and sometimes maybe Z will cover for me here if he's played them. And it gives me a chance to go back and look at them, and Tim an idea to talk about these older games for the first time. Now, what is this whole delay of game thing about, Tim?
Well, it's because since we have so many games that there's so many games coming out each year, there's just no way to get to them all. However, lots of us, I'm sure even you and Z, guys who play games for a living, do it all the time, there are plenty of games even you guys miss. So this whole concept is to see whether or not it was worth the delay or not. Like, did we really miss out something for the past couple years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever? Should we have gotten it to the table? Or was it okay for us to never get it to the table? And that's what we're going to find out.
Well, today's game is Crown of Emara. Now, Crown of Emara came out 2.5 years ago in 2018. It's designed by Benjamin Schwer. And it originally came out from Pegasus Spiel. It took a while, at least a few months before it came to America. It came out right before the very first Dice Tower Retreat. It was the hottest game at the Dice Tower Retreat. So I immediately put 2 games in the Dice Tower library, and then a few months later immediately took one out because no one else was playing it anymore. But so this is a game that has 2 rondelles of sorts. You have 2 circular tracks, and you're going to be moving pieces around both of these tracks, and it's up to you how you do so using a small deck of cards that you're going to play as the game goes by. You draw them, or you can play an advanced variant where you have them all in your hand the whole time, and you have to decide when's the best time to play them. Other than that, it's your basic get resources and turn them in, but it's deciding which person to move on which track, going around in a circle, that really makes this game different and unique. Now, Tim, when you played this, did it remind you of any other games?
Well, I mean, it's one of those kind of, and you can maybe help me here, Tom. This isn't really technically a worker placement, right? Because you're not really placing the workers. However, you are dictating where and how they move.
Sure, so, I tend to call these rondelle games because you're moving them around a circle, essentially.
Right. I mean, there are several games that have that rondelle, like Teotihuacan, right? You're going around with your dice, moving them, and you take the action at that spot. And I'm sure you know a lot more than I do. But, yeah, it's just that basic where you're actually going around the rondelle, and when you stop at that spot, you're able to take that action.
Now, I think you and I would both agree there's no theme here.
Oh, zero. Absolutely not. But here's something interesting also I wanted to bring up because, again, right, there's 4,000 games coming out every year, so there's just no way we can know them all. But you said, and I didn't go to the retreat, but you said at the retreat 2 years ago, whatever, that it was the hottest game.
It was.
I look back, and I don't ever remember again, not I know every game come out or you hear everything, right? But Crown of Emara, for that doesn't ring a bell like I ever heard the name at all.
You're right. It wasn't a big game overall. It just happened to be at that con. I taught it to a few people. They'd have taught to a few other people, and it was one of those things that just spilled out in that small place, but it never seemed to go much farther than that. Right. I mean, it's doing pretty well. It's ranked 780 at Board Game Geek, which is pretty high, and the top 1,000 is not a bad place to be. Mm-hmm. But I wonder, I don't know. To me, I really enjoy the game because of how brain burning it is. You sit there all the time and you're thinking, how am I going to move? Which side am I going to move? I mean, the one side gives you resources, essentially. And the other side, you're spending those resources to, move on a track or to get a card that's worth points. There's a lot of different options, and it feels like a lot of good strategies.
No, absolutely. And there's a quick question I do before I get into strategy. I wanted to ask you maybe your opinion. So for a game like Crown of Emara, do you think sometimes, like the company, you said it was Spielworks, right? Oh, Pegasus Spiel, right? Pegasus Spiel. So is it a matter, do you think, maybe of the company maybe not promoting it or pushing it enough, like maybe getting swallowed by other games? Because, again, so many games come out, or that it just wasn't that great? Because I think this is a really good game. I mean, I really enjoy this game a lot. And I would think that it should be a little bit higher, but it just seems, and you're right, 780 is nothing to be ashamed of, but I just wonder why it's not up higher.
I couldn't tell you other than, some games just don't hit the spot. I might wonder that it doesn't look that exciting when you first look at it. But I don't know. Maybe other games came out at the same time. I really feel like I enjoy this game. And what's more, now that we're talking about this, I'm feeling a little guilty because it's been a while since I played it. And I've meant to play the advanced version of this, and I never have.
Oh, where you can mix the different boards together so they're all intermingled, and it's just not one side is resources and one side.
I feel like that would blow my mind, and I want to try it.
Yes, absolutely. And how you say it's brain burning. So here's the thing, in case people out there who may not have played this game. At first, when because I've probably played it literally like 5 times in the past 3 weeks since I was taught it, because I just really enjoy this game.
Wow.
You think. You're like, what? There's only 2 rounds to the game?
It's going to be really short.
Yeah, this little deck of 9 cards, and you put it in the spot, so you can either move 1, 2, or 3. And you're like, there's not going to be much here. But you're right, for like a limited amount, which feels like of actions, there's a lot to think about and plan and foresee because you are limited by your movement. But the good thing about it is right, what is left in the deck. So you know what cards and actions are available, which are coming, so you can kind of foreshadow also maybe your next turn or the second turn to come.
And as a side note here, folks, while we're not explaining how to play the game, we will have a link in the description below that takes you to my review where you can see the game and an overview of the game. So definitely check that out.
Right.
Now,
oh, good. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say that you're right. There's these tough decisions, but it's not random. I mean, you could play where you have all the cards in your hand, but I'm okay just having a few cards at a time because you know what's coming. You deal with what you have now. I feel like the dealing with what you have now kind of limits your options a little bit anyway, which is helpful.
Yes.
So that you're not sitting there all day long. But there's such a dichotomy in this game of I'm over here getting resources and I'm over here using them. And that sounds like a very basic thing, but I feel like my brain switches tracks as I go from one side of the board to the other.
Right, because it's essential, and I'm sorry about my cat in the background there if you can hear her back there. And I know it's essential, right, because you do have to concentrate on the resource side of the track because you basically can't kind of do anything without the resources. But there are different ways you can use them. You can use them for the spaces on the board. You can buy, I think they're called the assistants, whatever, the little cards, right? You can spend the resources for little cards. So there's several things you can do. And the good thing about this game is also, so the last game I played, on the resource track or the resource rondelle area of the board, you have one worker. But each spot he goes to, you have these additional assistants, I guess, per se, workers, that you can put on a spot, and you do get victory points for them because they line up on a little track, and if you don't use any of them, you get 10 points into the game. So basically when you use one, you minus points. No, I'm sorry, when you use them, you earn the points. So you can block up an entire resource area from other players if you want. And I tried that. So the last time I played, I put 2 extra on the wood and 2 extra on the wheat because that one space on the city board allows you to turn in the bread. You turn the wheat into bread to get a huge amount of points. And also the wood gets you the huge building because there is the housing track and the people track. So there's two different tracks. And maybe explain it real quick, Tom, to the folks exactly how you're competing with the two tracks.
Well, the one thing that's interesting about the tracks are they get less valuable as the game goes by. So it actually has you wanting to spend stuff faster. But at the beginning of the game, you have a hard time getting it. So yes. I'm always stuck between what Tim said, which is, by the way, a fascinating thing that not many games do, that whole, I'll make a space better for me, when I land on it.
That's right.
So I can do that early on, or I could try to get some goods and quick run over and get the different things on the different tracks while they're cheaper, or at least get me more points. And, which one do you do first? I have no idea.
Yeah, I know.
Tim does, because he's been playing it recently.
Yes, I have. But it's just so intriguing. You have to put it in a spot, whether 1, 2, or 3 movements, and you have to make amount of movements exactly, and then do the action. And again, there's a lot of games that have that mechanic where you can either do the little card first, so take sort of the extra action, or do the movement and take that action first. It's really good, and I wish more people knew about it, and I wish more people played it, because it's one of these kind of games that I will always be willing to play Crown of Emara, because even though I haven't tried the advance like you talked about, I just feel that I've got another 10, 15 plays out of this before I get tired of it. I still think I have a lot more to go of enjoyment and really, really getting down to the nitty-gritty in this game.
All right, so the question here, Tim, is this a justified penalty here? Should you have played this earlier, or is it okay for you to wait it till now?
Oh, no, you know what? After further review, penalty accepted. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
will overrule that penalty, though, because I think since it didn't get buzz, it was reasonable that you did not hear about it.
Okay, good. I'll go along with that. Thank you for overruling that. But it's true. I wish I would have known about this. I wish it would have gotten more heat, more press. More people should know about it. I think it's a very palatable game for a wide swath of the audience. I mean, it'll satisfy the heavier board gamers. It'll satisfy the people who are at the welcoming board game stage. It'll satisfy a lot of different audiences. And I just think this game should get played by a lot more people.
And I will say here, folks, one good thing that Tim mentioned there is that I agree. Even though it's a thinky, thoughtful, deep game, you don't have a ton of choices. You sit there and say, I can do this, 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 or this. Okay, those are my options. Which one do I do? And I like that it gives you focus, but you build those actions upon actions. Also, Tim, good news. I'm seeing used copies of this online, so it's not too hard to get a hold of a copy of this, folks. It's not overpriced, so on the used market, you should be able to get one if you want.
Good. And now, the question is now for you, Tom. So, after having been, I don't know how long now or how long ago you did your review on it, after sitting here talking about it, maybe conjuring up some memories and stuff of it, do you feel the need to get it back to the table, or what are your thoughts? Do you accept?
I do. I am taking a penalty. I remember at Dice Tower West, actually, I was saying, maybe I should play Crown of Emara, and then I went and played something else. And I shouldn't have. I've been sitting here. I want to try the mixing of the two boards. I want to see what that experience does. I know visually it won't look nice because the game's really pretty. The boards really match together nicely. It looks good when you're looking at those boards. But I'm curious if mixing those two up mixes the two halves of my brain into a mind swell of, I don't know. I'm just curious about it.
We have to say, though, Tom, the suggestion also of the advanced variant of getting all 9 cards in your hand, I think that would just be AP to the end.
I agree. That one I'm not as keen on. It sounds good in theory, but you're right. Analysis paralysis.
Yes, absolutely. But no, Crown of Emara is definitely a winner. I'm so glad I found it. I'm so glad we have it in the library with upgraded bits. So when people come out to Dice Tower West and Dice Tower East, you have it there also. They can enjoy it at all the cons.
Alrighty, folks. Well, me and Tim will be back in a couple weeks. We're going to keep doing this on a regular basis as we look at all different games from the past. I hope you enjoy it. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Timm Metivier.
Have fun crowning Emara. No, Emaraing in the crown? Never mind.
All right. Bye, everybody.